Okay, so they're on license types. There are several different types of license that we're going to talk about. The first one's being the broker's license. The broker's license. The broker's license now is the entry level, but virtually it's the only level there is, okay? So for a person to be eligible to get a broker's license, here's what has to happen. You must complete and pass an approved pre-licensing course. Ta-da! That's what you're doing right now. You then have to pass the broker's exam. That's what you're hoping to do later. Emphasize the word hoping. Then you actually have to make application. So when you take this class, a lot of people say, oh, I take the class to get my license. Well, technically, no. You take the class to sit for the exam. You got to pass the exam to even get the application. Then you have to make application to the state that has to be approved. All right? So there is several steps in there. And once you have been licensed, you must take another class from Real University within your first 2 years. I'm going to tell you this, and you guys are going to go blank because it's happening all over. It is not 30 hours of accumulated continuing ed. It is one class that is 30 hours long. I get this call all the time. People call me and go, hey, I need to do that 30 hours of CE for my new license. No. You don't take 15 two-hour classes and total 30 hours. It's one class that's 30 hours long. It's called the post-licensing course. And you must take that within 2 years of the date you get your first license. Now, could you take it next week? Theoretically, it would fit. Could you wait 1 year, 11 months, and 10 days? Yes, that would fit as well. It's sometime within your first 2 years. Virtually, it is a refresher of this course just so that you hear some of the key stuff again. So can you do it in 2 weeks? Under the law's eyes, yes. Is it smart? Probably not. And you would think, oh, I just heard this. So I'd wait, do it after, year and a half, just so that you can maybe refresh and touch up on some of this. You must affiliate with a broker, meaning you have to have somebody like myself sign your application. When you pass the state exam, you will get an application. Before you mail that application to the state to get your license, you have to have some managing broker sign it saying that I will take responsibility for your license. When that happens, then you submit to the state, and they will issue you a license in your name and the company name. So it might say Bob Smith, the Modulin Group. If you want to move companies, which we can talk about later, you can, but you have to turn that license in to get a new license. Because each license is a combination of your name and the company name. All right? Somebody has to sign to make sure that you are going to be under the tutelage of at least 2 years before you can go out and start, my real estate company. You are, number 3, an independent broker. Think of it as an apprenticeship for 2 years. Now, to get a managing broker's license, here's what happens. It is like what they're calling the top tier. It's still the same license, still a broker license. You just get the designation of managing on there. Managing brokers are responsible for their own actions, as well as all of my affiliated licensees. So if you do something wrong, I'm in trouble. If I do something wrong, I'm in trouble. I must be in active status for at least 2 years under the guidance of another managing broker. Now, it's important you understand what I'm saying for the second until we get there. You have to be in the status known as active for 2 years. You can't go into referral, which we haven't. You can't go into unassigned. It has status, meaning you actually have to have been practicing for 2 years actively before you can even think about applying to be a managing broker. Plus, you must take and pass another course called the 24-hour managing broker course. That course deals a lot more with like the structure of your business, how to set up your accounting system, things like that. Only managing brokers or the company can receive commissions directly from a client. I can get paid by my client. You cannot. You can only get paid by your managing broker. It's not paid directly to you. Number 4, all other licensees must practice under the oversight and compensated only by your managing broker. And number 5, you can only be affiliated with one Indiana company at a time. So you can't have like a part-time weekend job with RE/MAX and work for me during the week. All right? The next section there talks about the status. There are 4 statuses, or is that stat I? I'm not sure. The first status is known as active status. Active status is the one that probably most of you want to be in. It's the one where you can actively have buyers and actively take listings and actively work in the real estate world. That's the one. And when you make your application, it will be signed by your managing broker. You will then have to declare which status you want to go in. It's a checkbox. I want check active status. All right? You can also be in referral status. Referral, you have to apply for it. Just put me in referral. So what's the advantage of referral? Referral means I can pay you, but you cannot actively do any real estate. So what you would do is it would say, okay, I'm going to keep my day gig, and every time I hear somebody say, oh, I wish I could buy a house, you say, go to Raymond, tell him I sent you, and he'll take care of you. That's referring business to me. That's all you can do in referral status. When that deal closes, I then pay you a percentage of my commission as a referral agent. But you cannot list it. You cannot take him and show him the house. All you can do is refer business to me or to whoever. All right? Now, the good thing about referral status is, right now, just bear with me, you'll get it here in a minute, you still have to renew your license when they come due. So you're still paying the $60. But you do not have to join a board and pay the big bucks. You are not required to do continuing ed. Only active status has to do continuing education. If you're in a referral, because you're not actively doing it, CE is not required. Hey, just call Raymond. Okay. All right. John, you got the puzzled look on your face. That's your normal look? Okay. You can also be in what's called inactive status. This perhaps is the dumbest status there is. All right? There's only a couple, I do know a couple reasons why that you may do this. Inactive status means that you are not even now allowed to refer business and get paid for it. All right? Remember I told you that real estate has these big ones and then ones underneath them? We did the general warranty deed, the special warranty deed. We did estate for years, period to period. Same thing here. You got active status. Now you got referral status. And now you got inactive status, which means you can't even get paid. You say, hey, call Raymond. I can't pay you. All right? You still have to pay for your license, but there is still no CE requirement. All right? A lot of times people will do this because there are a couple other licenses I know that do not like you to have a real estate license. I think, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure Series 7 stockbroker will not let you have a real estate license. So what you can do is put it in the status known as inactive so you don't lose it, you just can't use it. Another time that I know it was used was by, and I can't remember his name, man, the mayor of Martinsville. He moved his license to inactive status so that no one could ever say, well, you brought in businesses and we're getting paid on the real estate portion of the deal. He's like, no, my license is inactive. I can't do it. But he didn't want to lose it, so you can move it to inactive. There is a fourth status called unassigned. Unassigned. An unassigned status is typically used for a couple different reasons. Most notably, a beginning person like you go out, you pass the exam, but you haven't decided who you want to hold your license. All right? But yet, you also don't want to miss the 1-year deadline. Very important you hear what I'm saying. Once you pass the exam, you have 1 year to make application. If you fail to make an application, even though you've passed, you got to start all over again. All right? So say you don't know where you're going to go, but you want the state to at least know that you've passed the exam. You can submit your application without a signature by me. You would just elect unassigned, and the state would hold your license. The state would hold your license in unassigned status. How do you get out of that? Do you have to repay? No, once you make application, you will pay the $60 to be unassigned. Then, let's say, 2 months down the road, you go, okay, I've decided I want to go to Tucker. You would then put a transfer from unassigned to active with the Tucker guy signing it, and I think the state has now adopted a $10 fee every time you transfer. All right? But what it did was keep you out of missing that 1 year time frame. So let me make sure you guys understand this. Watch me, and if you're at home, make sure you're listening. Pull over and listen carefully. The day you pass this course, you will have a date on your certificate. You must pass the state exam within 1 year. If you fail to pass the exam within 1 year, you have to start all over again. Come back to school, take the exams, all of it. Once you pass the state exam, you have 1 year to submit your application to get a license. If you fail to submit within that 1 year, you lose your license and have to start all over again. Okay? So what a lot of people will do was, if they don't know, put it in unassigned status. That way you don't miss that 1 year time frame. You literally could pass the exam today and put the application on the corner of your desk and go about your life for 11 months and then walk back and go, here it is. All right? Not advisable, but you have 1 year. So you put it in unassigned status. Now, there is a kicker about unassigned status. It can only be unassigned for 2 license cycles. How long is a license cycle? You guys don't know. It's 3 years. So theoretically, you can only have your license in an unassigned status for 6 years. If you fail to assign it within those 6 years, guess what happens? Start all over again, which makes sense. You haven't done anything in 6 years in the real estate world, you probably need to go back and start over anyway. So if you fail to submit your application, you have 1 year. Even if you do submit it within that 1 year as unassigned, you only have 2 license cycles then to be in unassigned status. Typically, the commission will give you a notice. You've been in there 2 years or 6 years, they'll send you a 30-day notice saying, hey, it's coming due. I don't know anybody that's ever lost their license for having it in unassigned status for 6 years. There is a question, if you're in referral and you want to come active, remember in referral, you are not required to do continuing ed. So you've been now in referral for 4 or 5 years and you want to come back active, you have to do continuing ed for that year before they will activate your license. We get that all the time. People call me and go, hey, I want to go back active. What do? You got to take the referral for this year, and then you start into the regular CE cycle, all right? So you have to take CE for the current year to get back in there. You do not have to recapture all the old CE you missed. So it's never like you got to do, well, you got to do 147 hours, and no, just the 12 of this year, and then starting next year, like everybody else.
Is it 36 hours of CE to reactivate, or is it 30 hours?
No, it's 12 hours for the year that you're due. It's a 3-year license. If you went in referral before your 2 years were up, remember in the first 2 years you got to do the 30-hour post course? Right. Let's say you went in 1 year and you haven't done your 30-hour post-licensing course and you went into referral. And you said, I'm going to beat them at their own game. I'm going to go in referral for 4 years. Well, that's past my 2-year requirement of the 30-hour license, right? No, it's not, because once you come back in, they're going to go, it's 2 years active. You haven't been active. So now you have to do the 30-hour course as well. All right? If you've already done the 30-hour course and you're in referral, to come back active this year, you just do 12 of this year and start next year like everybody else. Okay? See, that's what number 7. If you were licensed after 7/1 of 14 and you haven't completed the 30-hour post, you would also need to complete this course prior to being active.
30-hour post is different than 36 hours of continuing ed.
Exactly. 30-hour post-licensing course is different than continuing ed. It is one course of 30 hours. Continuing ed typically are broken into 2, 3, or 4-hour courses, so you end up doing 5 or 6 of them. All right? The other way is CE is more ancillary to stuff that you do as a profession. Like this year, we're teaching the correct way to measure your house through ANSI standard. We're teaching how to deal with a millennial buyer. The 30-hour is a rehash of this so that you go back through the laws and some of the agency stuff and get it remembered. Hold that question. Let me change audio.